Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Krypton. First of all, we have to discuss the aftermath of Lyta being killed and just what that does. Like, obviously, let's start off with everything on Wegthor. We have Jax being like, okay, yes, I know what I did was pretty sudden and all that, but it was for the right thing, because the fact of the matter, we got to rise up and, use this as an opportunity, because this shows the people of Krypton that he's so intent on winning that even under these circumstances, Zod still wouldn't give everything to save his own mother. Shows you that he puts his own need for winning above even his own mother's life. So that means he puts his needs above all of Krypton. That's kind of the point. If he's not going to look after his own mother, oh God, what does that mean for the people of Krypton, But then you have Val stepping up, being like, what the hell did you just do? You might say it's this and that, basically trying to say, like, you might have thought that what you're doing was the right thing. Yes, this is about stopping Zod, but not if it means literally becoming him, because you're literally replacing a tyrant with another tyrant if we go down this path. And that's the whole point I made last week about the whole point that the way she's handling this thing, she's handling it more like Black Zero than because even he says it's like, we're not terrorists, we're freedom fighters. And the fact of the matter is, this isn't how we go about it, because for one, we need the people of Krypton on our side. You literally showed them something so brutal like that. The fact is that we're willing to go through such brutality like him. Like, the fact of the matter is, if we want to restore Krypton, we need to show people that we're on their side, getting rid the more social issues that they're planning to tackle and stuff like that. Obviously, the big social system that was set up beforehand, like, obviously they're going to need funding and stuff like that for what they're planning to do. But it's like, none of that's going to matter when people are going to be so terrified of us, because Black Zero had that feel for people too. That led to so much stuff because of Black Zero's existence that turned a lot of people against even the Rankless last season. Just because obviously social status and stuff like that, but more so just because they were so desperate to get rid of Black Zero. And so we had that same thing kind of in this remark as well. Interestingly enough, everyone kind of sides with Val in this situation, and not just Jax. A lot of people on her side get arrested as well, because there's still those who still follow her. So now becomes a question, because Zod's like, okay, he's super pissed. Give me Jax. If you don't, I'm going to kill everyone on the moon. And it's like, okay. So what do? We have Cam being like, yo, give her Jax, or that's the right move to make. But then you have Adam bringing the best point. You literally give Zod her. Who's to say he's gonna stop there? He's like, I know this dude. Zod's not gonna stop there. We know that Zod is literally planning to conquer every planet he comes across. Like, the fact of the matter is, all he feels right now is rage, and killing Jax would not satisfy that. Hell, he's so upset about his mom's situation that guy didn't. It's like, wait, you're telling me that we haven't got back our system yet, and the video of my mom getting executed is on repeat in Krypton? It's like, yeah, I think so. Literally dropped the shield and threw the dude to his death. When even dude was doing a job, but he caught Zod in the wrong mindset. For one, you failed, and you pissed Zod off because he's already pissed. So that kind of shows you what kind of person you're dealing with. And what's so interesting though is, like, the woman that's with Jax, like, she's kind of bad-mouthing Val to a certain point, because it's like, because Val, has you locked up in here, he's still treating you like a pupil, and stuff like that. But like, Jax kind of got upset because it's like, don't you dare say that. He's a brilliant man, because no matter what the circumstances is, she still truly believes in Val, because she does believe him to be the pinnacle of hope. Like I said, more so that's why she does what she does. It's like, I treat this situation like I do Black Zero. The fact of the matter is, I do what others can't. She always wanted to keep Val's hands clean. Let him be the beacon of hope. Let him be the face of this organization. But when the dirty stuff needs to be done, I'll do it because it needs to be done. Just like the Lyta situation. It was unfortunate, but it needed to be done to prove a point. Obviously, it didn't necessarily work out the way. It's like, yeah, Jax wanted him to be, Zod to be caught off guard and to be so caught up in emotions that he's not thinking straight. But the problem is, Zod isn't the type of person that lets emotions like that get control of them. He gets blinded by pure rage, which you don't want to be the recipient of his pure rage. So there's a complicated situation. But, Jax ends up escaping, but doesn't escape for long, because Val, Adam, and Cam end up catching up with her. And Val has a gun on her. I actually was thinking for a second, will Val actually kill her if the time needs be? But now it's like, okay, you have two choices. You can hand me over, or you can use the gravity bombs I attached to the elevator and destroy it, making it so reinforcements can't get there. But then Kim's like, no, because there's hundreds of innocent people who will side with us. They have no intentions of joining with Zod. They don't believe in him. It's like, you keep those people alive. Potentially those are allies. But if you do this, you're killing innocent people. And when the time comes, Val makes the decision to kill innocent people, which is like, because for so long, Jax had to be in that position where she's the one that had to make the heavy decision so that he wouldn't. But it's like, now you want to take over this leader position completely, you're going to have to be the one that makes those decisions. And he did. And it's a situation where it's like, when everything's said and done, not everyone's going to walk away from this the same person they were. Because that's the whole thing. It's actually kind of interesting because it's, to kind of keep it somewhat in the Superman family, it's kind of a similar thing to the Smallville thing. Like, the fact of the matter is, that was a big thing for Clark. Clark never killed people. Oliver did. But they all kind of did that. Like, hey, we'll make those choices so that you can stay and remain the pure one. So you don't have to be, but that's the thing. The whole point is to find another way. That's the whole point that Val kept pushing. But the fact is, he wasn't willing to even attempt that, because it's like, oh, these two options are in front of me. He should have tried to find a third way. But the fact is, he has it. I think is showing you the shift in Val, that yes, he's still this hopeful person, but now there are lines that he is willing to cross that he wasn't even at earlier points in this episode willing to cross. But when it's all said and done, it's not like Jax can stay around to be a part of this revolution. It's like, oh, you have to leave. Maybe you'll find yourself out there, but you definitely can't stay here and be a part of this. So that's a very interesting situation to find themselves in. You have Seg, Dev, and Jaina kind of reeling from what happened with Lyta, and obviously everyone's upset. Seg breaks the news to them, she was reconditioned, and for Dev, it hits him hard because for him it's like, that's why she changed. I didn't see it. It was right in front of my eyes and I just couldn't see it, because it's like, yeah, she was so devoted to Seg that obviously losing him because everyone thought he was dead, she was so broken. And Dev, even for him, it's like, she had such devotion for you, and I thought maybe with you going, that devotion would disappear. Maybe she'd look at me that way, but it never disappeared. But that love, that devotion went from Seg to Zod. It's a combination of obviously eventually getting reconditioned to kind of go along with more of the stuff that he was saying. But I think it's also because, once again, she already chose him over her mom, but now it's like, oh, the person she loves most, Seg, is out of the picture. That love had to go somewhere, because I think somewhere she probably thought that her mom had went somewhere and probably ended up dying. But nevertheless, it's a hard thing to kind of deal with, Dev blaming himself for, I turned my back on her, but you have Seg being like, it's not your fault. The fact of the matter is, we don't know what Lyta would have wanted, because who Lyta was now wasn't who she was. He took away her memories, distorted everything, took away what made her her, And obviously they end up running into Nyssa, who's bringing the codex to Zod. I love that her guys are trying to, those Sagittari are kind of pushing her around, being like, oh yeah, oh, where does she have it? I want it in her pocket. It's like, nope, that's where a blade is, and slice, dead. I'm like, yeah, pick the wrong person to mess with. But obviously they're reunited, and it turns out, yes, Nyssa had no idea. You would have thought that but I guess they didn't want to get her. I guess it's kind of like, well, let's keep it low key until now, because I guess they didn't really know if Zod knew. They didn't want to kind of get it too hyped up and spread around that Seg's back. But it's like, you didn't tell one of the most important people you should have told that, especially because that's the mother of his child. So you would think so, but she didn't know. She's, oh my God, Seg, girl, what? And so now Seg is coming up with a plan to kind of deal with this whole situation, to get Core back, because it's like, I'm not going to lose. I'm going to protect everyone that I care about. And the whole plan ends up actually being quite ingenious. Because obviously the codex has been modified by Val, so it can't be used as a weapon. But then, even Jaina's like, the moment Zod finds that out, he's going to kill you. The moment he got the codex from you, most likely was going to kill you anyway. That's kind of how everything was kind of set up to be anyway. But because she would have proved her usefulness, but basically they end up making it seem like they modify it so that the codex has to be unlocked by her. So that was pretty neat. Even Zod being impressed, he's like, you're right, I continue to underestimate you, but you seem to impress me more and more. Luckily, when it was all said and done, she was able to save Corvex. And, the whole leap of faith conversation, I'm like leaping down. And you can tell it pisses off Zod even more because it's his dad there, just like, probably because it's like I'm no longer trying to try and impress you. I don't care about you anymore because the one person I did care about is gone, and this is all on you. I'm sure he blames Sig to a certain extent. Even though Sig had no involvement in that regard, he'll still be like, because Val was connected to Jax, and so it all kind of trails back to him anyway. But they're about to crash, and you have Brainiac in his head, let me get control, and starts, doing things. It's interesting because even though there's that very minuscule amount of Brainiac in his head because of what Brainiac is being this, wasn't it like, and he had 12th level intellect? Isn't that what the brain, isn't that what his species is? Because I think that's what Brainy says all the time. But nevertheless, to show you just how smart they are, that even a fraction of him is able to kind of do the stuff that he does. And so it's interesting because he's even trying to be like, if you want to, I can get rid of those pesky emotions. It's kind of a waste of time, all this sobbing and stuff like that. It doesn't do anything. So let me take away this pain for you. But it's like, because he wants to make Seg more of a robot. I guess it makes it, his emotions and his will is kind of too strong. I mean, that's the whole reason why Seg was able to fight him before, is his will. But I think that's the whole point. Brainiac is trying to get him to lower his guard more and more. Like, take a little of my help. Just a little bit more. And I think every time Seg is saying yes to him, he's tightening the noose around himself, or in a different way, tightening the noose around his consciousness more and more with every time he relies on Brainiac, because I think a little bit of himself is going to be lost along the way. Maybe not. Maybe there's just not enough of Brainiac to completely take over him no matter what the circumstances. Maybe it can only be done in spurts, hence why he only does his old Brainiac, the badassness in spurts. Because there's not enough of Brainiac to completely take control, and because his will is too strong. But once again, after all this desperation and just the craziness that's happened, of course they're going to be worn down. And it seems like everything kind of works out, but it's still kind of a thing of no matter what do we do next? Because now it's a conversation of could we have even saved Lyta? Because everyone's kind of blaming themselves. You have Nyssa blaming herself for not saving. Obviously Jane is doing the same, Deb's doing the same, but even the conversation come up, maybe because of what condition she was in, maybe we never would have been able to save her regardless. And that's a hard pill to swallow for Jaina, because let's not forget, yes, taking down Zod is a big thing, but saving Lyta was probably the most important thing to Jaina, and it breaks her, because, obviously no parent should have to outlive their own child, and now it's she lost her only child, and, especially considering the complicated relationship they had, Jaina never really had the chance to really fix everything. She that was, like I said, her main thing was saving her child, but that chance was taken away now, and Deb's there to confront her, hold her, because no matter what they do, even if they take down Zod, what does that do? What about a day afterwards? It won't bring Lyta back. She's gone forever. So Deb's trying to comfort her, saying that no matter where she goes, where they go next, she'll have his back. He'll have her back. Then obviously there's everything with, Brainiac still being take me to my ship. I can give you the power needed to stop Zod. Because you on your own, you want to try and find a way, but you won't. You can't stop Zod as you are now. And so once again, it's just that step closer and closer to let me take control of you type of thing. It's interesting though is that he ends up relying on Nyssa, ends up telling her the truth, which, it's I trust you. So it's we'll see ultimately where things kind of end up taking us on that front. Obviously, there's a whole thing with Zod and his weapon getting manufactured. Obviously, he's putting his people in a very heavy time crunch. He would have done it anyway, but because he's pissed, he's putting them on an even tighter time crunch. But obviously, the codex was modified so that it couldn't be weaponized, so that was an issue. But it's no matter what, Zod's going to find his way out. He's going to test out the weapon. I'm what is he going to do? And I see him out there in the land, whatever, I forgot what the code areas are called, and I'm right, because they made a point to point out that that's where Doomsday is. I'm you're going to try that on Doomsday. The last shot we see is them kind of him powering it up and Doomsday running towards him. Do I think it will kill Doomsday? No shape or form. This isn't even based on some previews, because I avoided the previews, so I'm sure that would have spoiled things. But even without that, I don't think he's going to be able to, because there's very few things, literally Superman can't even, Superman's literally been killed by Doomsday, so that speaks volumes in itself. But it's also because, once again, I didn't even know about Doomsday that I've learned. I mean, depending on how they go about him in this TV show, is the whole thing of it's not easy to kill Doomsday, because Doomsday can always come back and adapt and get stronger. what might have killed him before won't kill him again, which makes killing him pretty damn hard. I mean, this weapon is going to pack quite a punch. It's supposed to be able to punch a hole into anything, so we'll see, but I doubt it's going to be enough but it might be enough to wreck Doomsday, enough to make it seem like he's dead, but then eventually he comes back even stronger than ever, and nothing can stop him at that point. Obviously, there's a whole thing about Brainiac, depending on if, Seg ends up kind of like, recouping his powers and stuff like that. Seg knows it's like, you're using me, but for him, it's like, I promise you I'm not. It's like, you can't trust Brainiac. Everything is just a means to an end. It's all part of the manipulation. He's helping you because it's beneficial to him. The moment it stops being like that, it's when you're no longer useful to him, so you prove of use now. So it's going to be interesting to see where that ends up taking us. I'm so curious to see what the next episode has in store for us with all of this. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next one we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.